Round 94 of VV Gaming's Losers Bracket podcast, and yet again another huge show for us tonight. We are going to have one different co-host tonight. Kurt is not with us tonight. We will be joined by Esoteric, which is our console manager from VV Gaming, but joined by, of course, Jerry and Christian, Asylum. We will have a couple of special guests tonight. The entire VVV Gaming Crossfire team, LifeLine, will be joining us to talk about their trip overseas to Korea to compete at the WCG Grand Finals. Additionally, we will be joined by Aaron from Beyond Gaming, who's going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the world of BG, some Gears of War news, and what else they've got going on. So it's going to be a great show. We're really excited to be joining you here this Tuesday night, and let's see how everyone else is doing. Christian, let's start off with you, buddy. How are you doing this fine evening?
I am doing absolutely phenomenal, Jason. Thanks for having me on yet again on Round 94 here. Actually, I'm really excited for today's show because Gears of War with Beyond Gaming and all that fun stuff. I love Gears of War. I actually play Crossfire, which is amazing that not only do we have a team, but they're actually going to WCG Korea. I'm so excited for that, and I want to get their perspective on it. Maybe try to finagle one of them into coaching one of these lonely Yankees who's just getting started off in the Crossfire universe and all that stuff. But and you know what? I'm actually really glad that we have Kevin, Mr. Esoteric, being one of our co-hosts tonight. Kevin, how are you?
I'm not too bad, Asylum. How about yourself?
Pretty good. For those people that might not know exactly who you are, I know you've been on the show once before, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we move on?
Okay, well, I'm a 20-year-old from eastern Pennsylvania. I attend Penn State University, and I have recently stepped into the position of console manager for VVV.
Indeed you have. And Christian, I do believe you yourself just had some big news going on. You I believe you just moved to Chicago, didn't you? Tell us how that went, sir.
Indeed, I did. Moved the day before Thanksgiving. It was a little rough. Right after I moved and got out here, got settled in, and came down with a real bad cold, which I'm still trying to get over. But as you can see, I'm sounding a little bit better. Thanks with a little bit of help and medication from Mr. Jerry over here. He's been really good in making sure that I'm nice and healthy as possible while I'm recovering. Speaking of which, Jerry, how are you tonight, sir?
Pretty good. I can't complain. I mean, if I'm not making people sick, I'm making them healthy. If I'm not making people cry, I'm making them smile. It's all about that wide range for me. And speaking of making people smile, I want to get right to it tonight because WCG is coming up. We have our Crossfire team here at VVV Lifeline. For those of you that may not know, Crossfire is a free-to-play first-person shooter. And since Kurt's not on the show, I can pick on him. I think the reason Kurt couldn't make tonight's show is because there was no room for us to talk about CounterStrike with us talking about Crossfire, and I think deep down inside that bothers him. So I look forward to actually talking about a first-person shooter that isn't dead, but is actually doing cool things. I can hear all the Crossfire fans now pointing to all the competitions that go on in Europe. I know. But you know what? I'm in a trolly kind of mood this evening, so fuck the CounterStrike fans.
I was about to say right there.
I want to
Fuck
talk
the
about
Crossfire fans, huh?
Oh, relax. Anyway, so Jason, let's get right to it. Let's talk about Crossfire.
Yeah, let's definitely do that, since no one cares that the CSGO beta is coming out tomorrow, right? All right, let's hop right into some Crossfire. Let's start introducing the team. We've got 5 people here to talk about this game. Heading over to Korea next week as the representatives from Canada, also representing VVV Gaming, of course, for Crossfire. We've got VVV Lifeline. And let's start out with, oh gosh, I don't even know. Let's start out with Roth. We've got one of the 5 members here. Roth, welcome to the Losers Bracket, sir. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Hey, Mr. Kuntz. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Roth Malmstrom. That's my name. I go by Blitzing Game. That's how most of the people out there know me. I've led Team Lifeline for approximately 3 years now. Pretty much partnered up with Peter from the beginning, and we've been just trying to take on every event that we can, and mainly focusing on the world events. So there's only been 2 of them. So
right. And you guys had played in China last time that you went overseas to compete in Crossfire. How did that go for you?
The competition was pretty tough over there. It was new grounds to us. We didn't really know what to expect. We're used to playing like 9-round halves, and over there they were playing 5-round halves, so that pretty much made a very big difference. Also, they incorporate things that we don't, like body armor, so that changed the whole dynamic of the game.
Right.
Nonetheless, we're a little bit more familiar with what we're going to be expecting this time around, so that should play into our favor.
Sure, yeah, we're excited to cheer you on. Let's continue on with the rest of the team. Peter, how are you doing tonight, sir? Same thing. Let's hear a little bit about yourself. Who is the man behind Peter?
Hey, Mr. Kunz, how you doing?
Oh, good Lord.
I'm just chilling right now. I go by in-game name Malty. I like the laughing going on here. And, so I've played with Roth again, like you mentioned, since the start of open beta, basically, and I fell in love with the game. I stopped playing CounterStrike to play this game, and it was a very good opportunity for me. And
Peter, can you say it again nice and loud for me? You did what?
I've been playing this game for almost 3 years now. I started on open beta, and it just seemed like a great opportunity for me to play Crossfire, and being picked
What
up like
game did you quit to play Crossfire?
I stopped playing CounterStrike. I played a lot of CounterStrike.
Thanks. I knew there was another good reason I picked you up.
Jerry's so trolly.
Fuck all those fucking CounterStrike fans and their stupid Go. I hope that fucking game falls flat on its face. The sooner we get rid of the whole Counter-Strike community. I'm sorry, I didn't mean any of that.
Wait. Rant's a little early yet, Jerry.
I actually love Counter-Strike and all the people in it. There wouldn't be esports without them. Quake, they're heroes, all of them. Anyway, Peter, continue.
So, yeah, I've just been playing Counter-Strike, and I'm just happy I've been surrounded with such a great group of skilled people and great players to play with. And after we got picked up by VVV, we had our Canadian team going out now for Korea, and we've been practicing almost daily, and it's been great so far. So we're doing pretty good.
Definitely. And let's continue on. Let's go to Alex next. Are you going to call me Mr. Kuntz as well? No. How are you? And oh man, I'm gonna have to start my own show at this point. You know, who cares about Slasher? Let's have fuck cunts. Yes.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Too much. I'm done.
All right, Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you, and how did you come to be a part of LifeLine?
Well, pretty much I'm 23 years old, and I'm from CS4, so I started playing there with FMB and Vangs. Pretty much when we started WCG pick up Crossfire, we decided to play Crossfire for WCG. So we built our own team, and it didn't work out, and pretty much Malty and Rod, we just talk about each other, like we should build a team and just work out like this.
Interesting. That is awesome. Let's go on to Hermes. Hermes, how are you doing tonight, sir? And yet again, who is Hermes? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and of course, tell us a little bit about your history with LifeLine.
It's pretty much just the same as AK said, Mr. Kuntz. And do you hear me well? Is my mic good?
Oh yeah, you sound great, man.
Perfect.
Oh, you are crystal clear.
Again. Could you say that one more time, please?
Mr. Kuntz.
That's fantastic.
Oh.
French Canadian accent gives Kuntz a whole new class that it never had before.
It didn't have class? Wow, Jerry, wow. No.
Well, you have to admit, fuck Kuntz to Mr. Kuntz is a very different sound, isn't it? Please, Hermes, continue. I apologize.
It's cool. I was playing Source. We're pretty known in the Source community. But we wanted a big LAN, a big event. So we heard about the WCG Korea. We're looking for a game, and that was pretty close to Source, and it comes down to Crossfire. So we tried to make our teams, but our team wasn't active enough, and the skill was not definitely there. So we tried to find people that had experience, and they were Canadian. And we actually scrim against Rot and Malty, and they liked us. They noticed we had potential and stuff, so we kind of built a team together, and we started scrimming, and everything went well from there.
Oh, that is so awesome to hear. Very cool. Look forward to talking to you a little bit more in just a couple minutes. We've got one more person we need to introduce. We've got Pierre-Luc. Sir, same thing as before. Oh, my God. That's 4 out of 5. I suppose that isn't too bad. But I love it. What is happening on the Losers Break this week? I don't even know. But PL, please. Pierre-Luc, which would you prefer?
PL.
PL? All right, let's go with that then. PL, tell us a little bit about yourself as well, and give us an interesting fact or two about your time with LifeLine.
Pretty much like Alex and Ermer said, I'm playing with them for about 4 years right now at CounterStrike Source. And like 2 months ago, Armors and Alex asked me to have a chance to go to the World Cyber game at Crossfire. So at this moment, I did not know the game Crossfire, but I did not miss the chance to go, and we practiced hard. And now I'm with LifeLine, VVV.
Awesome, PL. Well, it's a pleasure to have you. So for all of you out there who may be new to Crossfire, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Crossfire, and I'm gonna ask Peter and Roth and the team to help me fill in the things that you may not know about this game. Way back when Z8 Games released a free-to-play first-person shooter, Crossfire, we've been looking in the free-to-play space. For those of you that don't know, I'm a pretty big fan of that model and sort of like what it brings to gaming as a whole. So along came this game Crossfire, and we were basically talking to, I think it was actually Roth. Roth, was it you that started?
Yeah, that's correct.
I do. I think it was you that first. And so we said, sure. And they were very well known in the Crossfire community. They were already established as one of the top teams. And basically it was about one or two teams. And then we came right down to it, and they seemed to get it. And what I mean by getting it, they got what it was to represent an organization. In a matter of fact, I can say this. In the time that I have worked with Roth and Peter, which is the longest, I can say quite literally they've always taken care of everything. And there have been moments where they have challenges, like any team has challenges. We have a conversation and it's fixed. And it's just a pleasure. So it's really great to have you guys on the show. It's been long overdue. And I remember when we were first looking at a Crossfire team, people were like, why are you going to pick up the stupid free-to-play game? Let's fast forward to this point in time. This quote-unquote stupid free-to-play game is bringing you a second trip to Asia. What's different from your trip to China to now getting ready for Korea? I'm going to start with you, Roth, then I want to hear from Peter. But as you earlier mentioned, you're a little bit more prepared this time. Highlight some of the differences coming into WCG 2011.
Well, first, let me say thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it, and it's been reciprocated both ways. So thank you as well. But some of the changes, like I mentioned before, just sort of the preparation, we kind of know a little bit more what to expect. But I think the biggest factor is kind of the new mix of players we have going on. There's a little bit more experience under our belts with the C2 guys coming over and playing Crossfire with us. Like they all mentioned, they played Invite in Source for quite a while. So any Invite player, they definitely have a lot in their backpack, right? A lot of tools in the toolbox. So it's been a great opportunity to play with them because as much as they've learned from, I'm sure, myself and Multi in terms of Crossfire and how to play that game, we've learned from them as well. So that's probably been the biggest change.
That's awesome. That's really, really good to hear. Peter, let's talk to you a little bit about you. I know you're probably going to echo some of the things that Roth said, but what could you add to that? Or maybe even just personally for you, what has been the difference? Because obviously this is the first time you guys are playing as an all-Canadian team. Previously, you were going as a mixed just Crossfire team from North America. So talk about that a little bit, Peter.
Yeah, it was a little bit difficult at first, losing our first roster, which consisted of 3 American players, and we had probably some of the best American players in Crossfire playing for us. And after it was announced that we needed an all-Canadian team, it was almost coincidental that we bumped into the C2 guys, and immediately we could tell their chemistry was just off the roof. And along with the amount of time they've been playing Crossfire, they just had so much potential, and they've complimented us just as much as we've complimented them. It goes two ways, and we've been practicing almost daily, and now for our preparation, we know a little bit more what to expect with the competitors, and thank God for social networking, that we get to talk with the competitive teams on the other side in Asia. They're helping us out, the teams that didn't compete from last year, so they're giving us some advice too, letting us know what's going on. So we got a good synergy going on for this year, and we're going to represent VVV well, and hopefully have a top 3 finish this time. I'm pretty confident by saying that.
I have no doubt you will represent us well. I hope you guys are able to bring home a medal for Canada. That would be fantastic. I'm going to turn it over here for a brief moment to Hermes. I want to get one of the perspectives sort of coming into this. how do you feel about this, Hermes, as far as coming into Crossfire? How have Roth and Peter been, as far as they said, helping you play Crossfire? And what are some of those tools you feel that you guys brought, not only just the chemistry between the three of you as players, but, with previous FPS experience, how do you feel you've been able to contribute to help Roth and Peter play Crossfire better?
Okay. What they bring, Malty and Rod, is definitely, they know every little tricks of the game that we don't, because we had to learn the game in a really small, gap of time. But they really, show us, the little trick, double jumping, when you switch gun, you hear sound, some stuff that we don't see in Source. They also have a really big skills advantage over us at the beginning because they had insane aim that we did not know, the stuff like that. What we bring to the table, I think, beside the team play, a different vision of the game since we play more Source. Game is more, I could say, a bit more composed, less and more slow. We rush less as a group. We work more slow, make people rotate on the map and stuff like that. We adapt way more. That's pretty much it. It was more raw talent, I think, last time they played at WEM than it is right now. Right now, it's more we have more strategy. That's the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong though.
No, I don't think that's wrong, and I don't think Roth and Peter would disagree. I mean, Crossfire essentially doesn't have some of the complexities that are the sort of the intricacies that come into how you manage what would be a CounterStrike match, whether it is 1.6 or Source. In this particular case, when you're looking at it strategically, it doesn't matter that much. I want to get to something else that I think is really important for a lot of our fans, because I think when people hear Crossfire and they hear free-to-play, at least it was back then, they didn't think so much. I think a lot of free-to-play titles have changed that impression. I mean, League of Legends is clearly one of them. And I want to start with you, Peter, and then I'm going to go to Roth, and then I'll probably get PL in, and who thinks he has bad English, but PL, you don't have bad English. I'm going to tell you that now. So you don't have to worry. But Peter, I want to hear from you. Why do you play Crossfire? Of all the first-person shooters, the ones that are supposed to be more prestigious, what do you love about Crossfire?
Just like everyone else, I'm sure we all bought Gears of War and Call of Duty right when it came out. Myself, I bought Call of Duty for my computer because I can't play it on my Xbox. But regardless, something about Crossfire, it just brings me back to those good old moments when I used to play CS 1.6 with more of an arcadey twist to it. And that's not to say the learning curve is easier or harder. It's more really objective to the person as a whole. But something about Crossfire reminds me of my good old days in 1.6. So early beta and whatnot. So that was definitely the main reason for me playing Crossfire. Still to this day, I just fell in love with it.
If I were a player out there and I wanted to pick up Crossfire, should I? If so, what does Crossfire have to offer me?
Crossfire is coming out with there's a new league coming out right now with the top-of-the-line anti-cheat. I've been talking to a few of the superiors in the league, and there is definitely going to be a big prize pool, and I'm almost certain next year there will be more trips overseas and whatnot. Again, I don't want to be making empty promises, but there's always going to be a competitive side to Crossfire if you have that desire to be the very best. And it really is, working yourself up in leagues, developing that team chemistry, and I'm certain that this new league that's coming out for Crossfire, it's going to be great, and that's the best way to build your team, and you can go far if you dedicate yourself,
All right, coming to you, Roth, next. Why do you play Crossfire, and what does this offer for someone looking, maybe they're disillusioned with, Modern Warfare 3, and they can't really find a home for first-person shooter yet. Maybe there'll be CounterStrike Go for some, but maybe that won't be quite the game for some people. Why should they consider Crossfire?
Well, that's a good question, and I guess my motivation or the reason that I play the game has changed over time. I mean, initially I started gaming at a pretty late age in comparison to most people that compete on the level that, like on an international level at least. So I guess I started out to just have fun, in the beginning, and then eventually I kind of got into the competitive aspect, and I always liked competing in various things like sports and even video games have always been very competitive. And then I guess sort of, Peter was there with me playing on the same team from day one almost. So you kind of get that brotherhood, and as long as he's going to be playing and I'm going to be playing, Lifeline's going to be there. So I guess that's kind of what keeps us around now. And on top of all, the perks that we've experienced, like, the international trips and being fortunate enough to be a part of an organization like VVV, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you very much. What about you, Hermes? Since you guys come from a Source background, I know you said earlier a little bit that, hey, we were looking for a game to get into, but clearly the Counter-Strike title holds a lot more weight. Whether more people like 1.6 or Source, we're not really necessarily getting into that, but why do you play Crossfire? Is it because there is a big LAN, like you said before, or are there other parts of the game that maybe you were even surprised? You said, you know what, I didn't think it would have been this good, compared to Counter-Strike, but there are things I like. I want to hear a little bit from your perspective.
Okay. Yeah, at first it was the WCG LAN, because at Source there's no, honestly, like there's no that big international LAN. There's a lot of local LAN, but I did so much local LAN, like let's say 10 to 15, that like I wanted a taste of like the international LAN, so I wanted something more like more big. That's the prime reason that I joined and I stopped playing Source. I was a bit tired of the game, also Source, for playing for so long, let's say 4 or 5 years, maybe more, 7 years, I'm not sure. But like I was growing tired of Source, so like I needed a fresh game, and everything came like all at the same time. Like WCG, a game that resemble Source, and while playing that game, yeah, the graphics are not like Source. They're like, of course, more cheaper, but it come really close to 1.6. And I used to play 1.6. I used to like it. So to me, it's not about graphic. It's just about the competition, and the competition was pretty good. So that's pretty much why I like it. I mean, the game. What's bad about the game is just that I think there's a lot of cheaters in the game at the moment. That's what's breaking the game. But the game is not that bad. That's the biggest like flaw I think in Crossfire, is there's too much cheater. But if they come up with a good anti-cheat, I think the game has a good chance to maybe like have more bigger LAN in Asia and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a really good perspective. PL, would you agree with what Hermes said about the cheat being a major problem?
Yes, of course.
I know
Like,
that often there. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's really hard to go dead match or just play search and destroy. There's too many cheater. You got the hembot from spawn, and you can't even play dead match or anything. So that's make the game a bit bad sometimes. You can't really not practice by your own way.
No, I understand. I want to talk a little bit about, and Kurt from Check 6 is going to be joining us, but he's listening in, and he was able to give me a question, which I thought was a great question I want to ask. And Alex, I'm gonna start you in on this, and I'm going to ask a couple others to get their input. But I want to start out. Do you feel Z8 Games is supportive of the Crossfire community as a whole? And if what do they do that's good, and what do you think Z8 Games could do better to support the community?
What I saw, I think they support more the casual player than the professional player.
I can understand that. I think that happens in a lot of games. There's much more support for the larger casual audience.
Like remove some cheating, or having a better anti-cheat, that would be better. But besides that, I don't know for sure.
Okay. Well, Peter, I'm going to bring it to you. What do you think as far as Z8 Games? What do they do well? What could they do better?
Well, at the end of the day, Joe, we both understand it is a business. Esports is a big business, and Z8 Games, they do give a lot of features and new content out to the casual gamers, chip in a few bucks for them. But I know there is a good relationship amongst our team and G4 Box, at least, if it comes to subjects along the lines of how to make the game better, what should be added for more competitive play. I know myself and Roth, we pushed to G4 Box spectator mode and a better replay system, and slowly but surely they did put those in for the competitive side of the game, and they've still been supporting Crossfire pretty well, and I'm glad that Christian Saden's going to be coming with us to Korea. It should be a good time. So other than that, yeah, it's a pretty good relationship, to say the least.
Awesome. Roth, would you agree with that?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, obviously me and Peter know a little bit more about Z8 than the other guys would. But yeah, like Peter said, they do a lot for the community. Maybe more for the casual gamer than the competitive community. But with the new likes of the new league coming out, maybe they can just do as much as they can to back that up if all goes well, and then maybe things will start to grow from there, at least on home turf. As of right now, the big thing to look forward to is the international events, and we got quite a big one right ahead of us, so we're pretty excited for that. I think it's about 7 days before we're all on the plane together and headed to Busan.
That's awesome. That really is awesome. I can't think of a better group of people I think the right people are going, and I sometimes talk in the show about players who do a good job representing the organizations and the game they play, and I think you guys are just Crossfire as a community is lucky to have you, and I know a lot of people in the Crossfire look up to you. I think when we picked you up, there wasn't a person in the Crossfire community who didn't think it was, that if there was a team to be sponsored and supported, this was the team that we want to start with. So you guys have lived up to that. I know we got to get the show moving, but I do definitely want to sort of give you guys each a chance to do any shout outs, talk about your Facebook pages or your Twitters or anybody you want to give shout outs to and stuff like that. And I'm going to start with you, Roth, and then we'll go through everybody.
Okay, well, first and foremost, shout out to everyone on the loser bracket for having us on here today. That's a pleasure to be on here. I think it's our first time and hopefully not the last. Looking forward to a few more of these if possible. Shout out to Peter. You're the man since day one, brother. And obviously VVV LifeLine. Going to do it big over there. And yeah, that's about it.
Peter, what do you got?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you, Jerry, boss man, for bringing us on. I know your time didn't go unspent wrongly towards us. Even before we got picked up by VV, we've always tried to show professionalism and try and educate and teach the younger competitive players on Crossfire. So I just want to say shout out to the whole Crossfire community. And I know there's been a lot of up and downs throughout the CF competitive community, but thank you for everyone for coming along with us on this ride. Another shout out, I got to give it out back to my brother Roth. It wasn't too long ago where I did take a brief absence from Crossfire and he brought me back, and I wouldn't have gone to China or Korea if it wasn't for him. Another shout out to my girlfriend because, I've neglected her a bit over playing a game, so she gets a little pissed about that. She's listening right now, so I'll call you later, babe. And other than that, let's have a good time at Korea with all these a new team, solid chemistry going in. It should be good. So, yeah, represent.
Well, Peter, I don't know Alex, Hermes, and PL very well, but I will say we just were in Providence, Rhode Island, and some of our French-Canadian StarCraft players showed up, and they are good people to hang out with, I will tell you. They definitely know how to have a good time.
Oh, I know. They're like Europeans. It should be good.
Good. I think it'll be very, very good. All right, PL, I want to give you a chance then to say any shout-outs or anything at all.
All right. First of all, I would like to thank the VVP organization. Everything you gave to us, the chance to go there, and very great organization. Also, I would like to thank my fanboy Parody, and that's it.
Okay, Hermes, you're next.
Thanks for the loser bracket to get us here. Also, thanks to the Triple V LifeLine, Triple V organization for all the gear they gave us, and the media they're giving us, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Hermes. And Alex, not last but certainly not least.
Well, pretty much thanks to Mr. Khan, first of all, since we can call him like that. And thanks to Vivian Steel Series, because they give us gear and everything. Thanks to us all through there.
Oh, Jesus.
And, yeah, shout out to everybody listening to us right now.
I think you guys also have a Facebook page. Roth, you want to tell everybody what your Facebook page is so they can follow your team and get the latest news?
Yeah, we do. We have the Facebook page. It's LifeLine on there. Oops, muted mic. You can also search up BVB LifeLine. You can pretty much find us through there. Go to our Twitter page. It's BVB_LifeLine as well. From there, you can find our Facebook page as well. Cheers.
Awesome. Well, personally, I'm sure I'll talk to you guys one more time before you leave, but I want to wish you guys a good night. Good luck in your preparations, and congratulations on representing Canada at the World Cyber Games for 2011 for Crossfire. I wish all you guys the best, and you guys have a great night.
Thanks.
Thanks, boss. You too.
Thanks, boys. Mr. Cunt.
Oh,
Thank
Jesus.
you, everyone, for having me.
Everyone's just having it out for you tonight, Jason.
I don't know what's going on. I love
I
it.
don't know about that way.
So, yeah.
Wow.
All right, so that's Crossfire for this evening. So I am pretty excited about being able to watch something besides like StarCraft at WCG. I'm looking forward to actually, hopefully, seeing somewhere some footage from Crossfire, because in China there wasn't really that much that we could watch. So I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more here. All right. Kurt, I hear you're here now. Have you finally been able to? Did you get your beauty rest?
Oh,
Yeah, to say the least, man. To say the least.
Well,
I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk about it, Jerry. Please don't make me cry.
I'm not going to make you cry. I am flattered though that like you're worried. You missed a whole. You know how I knew you must have been sleeping? Because you said nothing to me about the Slasher Lord Jareth Twitter little thing we had going on. So I said, oh, he's probably passed out. Because normally he'd say, so you'd say something, but you said nothing. So I figured you must have been either preoccupied.
Well, I was hoping we were going to have him on the show.
Yeah, but you know what he did? Here's what Slasher did. He pivoted his position a little bit to then say that he agreed that players should be casters, but not try to play and cast at the same time. And, that wasn't where he started when I said, no, sir, I disagree with you. But whatever, it is what it is. I will agree with him that maybe Huck or Idra should not consider casting right now. But there are a lot of StarCraft players who maybe aren't at that top 12, 18 spot who are really good and can do some casting. I don't think we should discourage them. I think the sooner they build those skills, the better it is for esports. But why don't we save that? Because, Kurt, maybe you and I can talk with the rest of the crew about all that in a little bit. Jason, who do we have next? It's going to be the. I
do hear you guys mention CounterStrike while I was gone, though.
Oh no!
Somewhere in the back of my mind.
Shut up.
Somewhere in the back of my mind, like a little bell rang.
I couldn't lose. If you didn't come on, then I could say fuck CounterStrike. If you could come on, I could say, well, I only said that because I wanted to wake you up. So I figured no matter which way it went, I was going to be okay.
Wow.
Okay, well, guess what? Kurt's on the show now. Fuck CounterStrike. Fuck Go. Fuck 1.6. There I said.
Wow.
You just had a Crossfire team on the show. All right, that is very, very similar to CounterStrike. who like 3 out of like 6 of the people on here is like, oh yeah, it reminds me of CounterStrike 1.6 days. I love it. And now you're gonna shit on CounterStrike. Come on.
It reminds me of 1.6 days. I love it. That must have been the dream you were having before you.
No, dude,
Let's get this straight. Kurt, stop. Let's get this straight. I like Crossfire. I started off playing FPSs in Counter-Strike 1.6. All right? I started my young career in the old days of Counter-Strike. Crossfire, in my opinion, this is purely my opinion, is a better game.
Oh, well, don't even say that. Don't ever say that again.
It's an opinion. It's an opinion.
You're throwing gas on the fire. Stop it.
It's a fairly stupid one, but
I knew that was going to happen. There's no way to win this.
All right. Hold on. Gavel, Judge. All right. Stop. We've got our next guest. We're going to go on. We're going to talk a little bit about some Beyond Gaming. We've got Aaron from Beyond Gaming joining us tonight. He's the Director of Sales and Marketing for Beyond Gaming. Aaron, it is a pleasure. You are always in the stream talking with us while we're doing the show live. So thankfully, we have finally got you on the show. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I think this has been one of the most eventful shows we've had in a very long time, as you have heard so far.
I just wanted to say something before we get too going. Congratulations on your Crossfire team going. But in regards to Crossfire, does anybody know what the hell Valve's legal team is doing? I mean, did you see that game?
Oh, I forget. Aaron's another across the Crossfire CounterStrike. Look.
No. I'm not a fan of. Listen, no. I'm not going on either way. But I'm saying, like,
You are a
did you see
CounterStrike
that?
fan, and you know it.
No. I'm really not.
Don't even lie.
I'm a Quake guy. I'm a Quake guy. But
that's that whole group.
But the point of the matter, I mean, did you see it? Like, what did they?
Saw it. Is that Condition Zero? What?
No, it's like they took a different color palette and was like, boom, new game. Like, if I was Valve's legal team, I would be like, what the hell's going on here?
You know as well as I do that is not even remotely true. It's a different engine. The game moves differently. No.
Look at the model animations.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me back this up. In 2000, when you had like the big giant Valve budget, you made fucking a game that looked like Counter-Strike. Today, when you're free to play and you have no budget, guess what? You make a game that looks like it's also 10 fucking years old. So yes, I get where they look alike. One looks dated, the other one looks like it copied a dated game. But there's a good reason why Crossfire looks the way it does. And hopefully Counter-Strike Go looks nothing like Crossfire. Because Crossfire is just what happens when you don't have a big budget, to me. That seems obvious, no?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's one way of looking at it, but
I'm not gonna mess with them for copying a good game. I mean, come on. I mean, they did the right thing. They took an amazing game and tried to make it better. So,
but I mean, I guess you could argue. I mean, depends. Like, look at if it's one of those free to play companies from Asia that did it. Look at Combat Arms. And look at what's been done, was done there. I mean, that was a completely revamped type of game, and it still had a feel of like Counter-Strike and everything, but it looked different. The animations were all different and stuff like that. And they didn't stuff a lot of budget into building that particular game. So I mean, I guess there's two sides to that coin, but I'm just saying, like, when you look at the kills, when you've got the info screen going up and they're using the same graphics and the same flat type graphics that Counter-Strike does, that's just a blatant copy to me.
So. Yeah, I suppose you could say that, but
That being said, really quick, I just want to interject real quick, and then I'll stop talking about it. But Jerry's right in the sense of, I am so glad to see a team FPS game. I don't give a fuck what it is at WCG. That I can actually watch. I'm glad to see something other than StarCraft every once in a while. I'm sorry.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I'm going to disagree with you, Dre, though. I'm excited for CSGO, and for one reason. I'm excited for CSGO for the possibility of cross-platforming. So the PC guys can finally show all the little console boys that play FPSs.
See, there you were. How many are going to have to give you guys an education? I'm going to do it one more time. I understand that you went and you walked uphill both ways in the snow. I got it. But in the 21st century, somebody said, you know what? Why do we have to listen to all these fucking nerds and their computer builds and having the right specs and all this? Why don't we just get everybody the same fucking unit? And then we're done with it. And there's a reason why the Xbox 360 sold the way it did just this weekend, 5 years later after its launch.
$50 off.
Right? There's so many reasons. Because at the end of the day, it's just more convenient than a PC. And every time, and here's the other thing, every time that PC gamers argue that they're better than console gamers, this is another ridiculous, obvious yes. Of course you're going to be better. The thing you train on rewards you for faster movement. A controller caps after a certain point, it doesn't matter how fast you are. So of course you're going to be faster, right? It's like if all you did was run between two posts, you're not going to be the same person who runs the marathon, who had like this big open space to practice in. Of course you're going to be better. But let's not assume that it's like some God-given inherent skill that you have. No. It's just a byproduct of what it is.
But here's the thing, and I understand. I hear what you're saying, okay? I agree with you. I'm wholehearted with what you're saying on that, all right? There's two completely different levels and style of play and everything. But there is, a thank you would be nice. Or just a little bit of a, hey, thanks for paving the way. And
I thank you guys for allowing the Championship Gaming Series to come around. I thank you for dividing the Counter-Strike community. And I thank you for fucking that whole thing up and all the leagues that came with it. I thank you for Angel Munoz and all the fucking shit that he pulled over all of you. Yes, I thank you for giving us all those lessons. The same way I thank Ford for building the Model T. Thank you, Ford. There's a movie somewhere in the making for you guys.
No, but I'm just saying that I guess there's a sense of entitlement. It's like when you talk about education, it's where did everything come from, and there is a lack of education on where to a lot. There's that first person shooters on the console. This is what made it big, and blah 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 blah. And there's a big debate about that.
I think it's okay. So to back up, I think if the Counter-Strike community and those who are Counter-Strike fans took the attitude you're just talking about, which was embrace the console as something here, be open to it. But if you tell somebody, right, it's human nature. If you tell somebody I'm better than you, or you look down on something they're passionate about, and this is why I got in on the console side. It is no hidden history that one of the reasons I never had a Counter-Strike 1.6 team was because when I started VVV, some motherfucker came to me and had the audacity to say, you're not going to be successful in this space if you don't have a 1.6 team. To which I went, you don't know me very well. Well, let's fast forward 5 years later. I can tell you I've never had a successful, and I had one small 1.6 open team, but I've never supported 1.6. And I'm not going to say that I'm the most successful PC guy, but I will put our console record next to any organization on the planet and say I think we've done just fine. And I say that because if a 1.6 person had come to me and said, I think it's great you're filling this space, nobody really is, you know what? There's a lot of guys who also play console. Maybe the younger brothers are going to play console, something, and embraced it from the beginning. A nice diplomatic move. Bam, there wouldn't be this war. But that's not what happened. So now I do understand why this divide exists. And the shitty part about it is all the brain capital is on the PC side. You and Kurt and the Counter-Strike community, all you guys have all that experience. Sir Scoots, Alex Garfield, all of you are Counter-Strike people. All of you have seen so many things, right? But then you rejected an entire platform, which is the future of gaming, and there is a future even beyond the platform. We don't know where it's going to end, but the mouse and keyboard are not the forever mechanism. And if we want to grow with gaming and technology, we've got to be really open. If we're thumbing our nose down at mobile technology or the iPad or whatever else it is, we're inadvertently narrowing our audience. There are a lot of people who make what I call those classic blunders. I can remember myself having a comic book in my hand. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it one more time. And I looked at the stupid comic book and I was like, who the fuck is going to buy a comic book about Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles? This is the fucking stupidest thing I've ever seen. Wrong. November 2004, EverQuest 2 being released. Who the fuck is going to play this cartoony World of Warcraft game? Wrong again. I think in a way you Counter-Strike types and the PC types thought the same way about the console. Well, obviously it's not as good and highly skilled as what you can do on a PC. Who the fuck's going to play this? 12 million copies, Modern Warfare 3. That's where the growth potential is, to be honest. That's the audience we need to figure out how to get them to watch fucking esports. That's the audience I want to see sitting in the seats. 12 million people are playing that fucking game. We need to figure out a way to get that audience who's familiar with the game to fall in love with the players and make that game spectatable so they come on. There is no Counter-Strike on the planet that can come close to that. Now, maybe Go will pull something out of its ass and I'm wrong. But that's what interests me. How do you get that audience to fill those seats so that all of a sudden all that extra income comes our way? And I mean as the whole industry, right? So that leagues can get bigger and organizations can get more sponsors and more journalists cover it and more players become known and that entire cycle starts. And I promise to get off my soapbox and give you a chance to say anything else you might do because I want to have the final word.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with you that, bringing consoles out and, going into that, like bringing consoles out definitely has opened up a whole world. It opens up a whole more easily accessible world to a lot of people. and maybe that was for its time years ago. The console became much more accessible. It used to be very expensive to have a PC, as we all know. It's not so expensive to do that now. So I think we might be seeing a different shift between what's happening in the PC world. And again, you see how big StarCraft has gotten and how big a lot of these free-to-plays are getting. In comparison to the consoles, and the consoles are still cheap and they're still out there. So I think a balance has to come. It's no longer one is more accessible than the other, and one has more reach than the other.
I think the money, the funding, and the support is going to come from the PC side. There are just too many peripherals, too many things associated with PC gaming. That is the cash cow. That is the central platform. But embracing the other platforms is so critical because I've told this story too before. The first time, without being told, I had a console player who was in VVV Gaming apply to our StarCraft division. I was stunned. No one made that player apply to the StarCraft division. But the crossover that I have seen inside VV Gaming of people who used to play Gears of War or play Call of Duty, who now all have purchased StarCraft, they all know the top players, they all know the top organizations. That crossover is what I've always felt the general core esports audience has missed when they've been a bit elitist about we're on the PC. When part of our success in VV Gaming and part of what we can offer sponsors is just like what I can do for SteelSeries. Way before any Call of Duty or Gears of War player hears about Razer, I can introduce them to SteelSeries. So the first brand that they associate with their competitive gaming is SteelSeries. I'm getting them at a younger audience. And that younger audience introduction has real value to sponsors. And that's the same thing about whatever game we want the console audience to cross over to. If the CounterStrike community were embracing the Call of Duty kids, we had one of our CounterStrike players, Forsaken, help when we had Fly Society playing Call of Duty, help them with their search and destroy because tactically, Counter-Strike players have all the experience and knowledge on how to handle search and destroy. So that insight, that tactic is valuable. All of a sudden, those players go to Steam, they look and they say, hey, this is pretty cheap, and they want to play with Forsaken to get to know him better. All of a sudden, we get that cross-pollination. They're starting to learn about what Counter-Strike is about. So I'm just saying that boat has typically been missed. So I don't think we're disagreeing on anything. I'm just pointing out that one thing.
Yeah, so
I just want to point out something really quick. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say real quick, like what you're talking about with, really supporting all the different genres, whether you're a PC gamer or console gamer, console gamers especially, is a big reason why Beyond Gaming exists. But we'll go into all that when you've said your other thing.
Yeah, I just want to point out that, I think I agree that there is a certain community that is a rift as far as wanting to separate console and PC, and like Jerry talks about elitist, but I don't necessarily think calling that the Counter-Strike mentality is necessarily the right thing to do. I don't necessarily believe it's a Counter-Strike mentality. I think StarCraft has one of the worst elitist mentalities right now you can have.
Kurt, I will.
If they would abolish.
I think, Kurt, you bring up a really good point. I should, and I joke casually a lot, and I just want to I think you bring up a really good point. It is not a Counter-Strike mentality, and if I'm implying that's an unfair characterization. I'll admit that. I do think there is a sort of that PC elitism, which I think we all can agree exists in a certain capacity. And Kurt, you bring up another good point that you can see some of that in StarCraft. And because I want to be really mindful of time, let's first talk about all the things that are going on, Aaron, at Beyond Gamer. And then if we've got time at the end, let's come back to this, or even let's revisit it on another show to talk about some of that, because I think there's a lot that we could discuss in regards to even StarCraft, the players, commentators, who gets credit, some of the back and forth I saw on Twitter today between like Huck and Slasher and Diapollo and things like that. So let's come back to that later. So Aaron, let's talk. let's talk a little bit about. I want to get right into Beyond Gaming. I want to talk a little bit about what Beyond Gaming has been doing. For those who are not familiar with Beyond Gaming, and this is the first time they've heard about it, tell everybody a little bit about what Beyond Gaming is as a company and an organization, and what you guys are doing right now.
So what Beyond Gaming really is it's a social gaming platform that allows any users to go onto our site and create their own matches, tournaments, leagues, ladders, and be able to run those, facilitate their own competition with people of their own skill level or higher skill levels, and play, do what they do every day, play games, compete against each other, earn tokens, and be able to take those kind of tokens and turn them in for rewards. So basically you get to, in one sense, I'll use the quote unquote monetize your gaming, in a sense, but really to kind of get out there and nurture your competition, regardless of platform, regardless of whether you're on a PC or a console, even one day soon mobile. That's a big plan of what we do. We also, for those of you who have maybe seen us or haven't heard of us, we get involved with a lot of the communities, such as VVV and PMS Clan, a lot of like the fighting game communities, and we do a lot of big promotional tournaments. Very involved with the Gears of War community right now, helping to put on Hype Festation with those guys from Hype Festation. So been doing a lot of those type things, but really the whole point is doing all those is to really get people to see what we do as a platform and what our platform
let's break those down, Aaron, one at a time.
Sure.
I'm going to start on the PC side, because you guys are working on better ways to enable gamers to know how well they're playing. What can you share about what you're doing on the PC side? I know you can't share everything, but what can you talk about as far as what you guys are doing, say, in StarCraft?
Well, yeah, what I can share with you on both things, actually on both platforms, and some of the things that we can do, whether it be PC or console. One of the keys to the software we've developed is we do automatic reporting. So unlike a lot of your competition sites out there where you have to actually go back and report your matches, we actually pull the match results, so we can, you can run a tournament automatically. Part of doing that, we're also able to pull match statistics. So for games that have it, let's take Heroes of Newerth, for instance. Heroes of Newerth has a public-facing feed. We're able to take all of those statistics, and what you'll soon see us being able to do is in your profile, you'll have custom game that you have, and you'll be able to track specific statistics for each of those games, because we're able to track those specific statistics. So what we're working on doing is gathering information on all the more important games that we support, and saying what stats are important for everybody to see, what do people want to be able to see, so that we can deliver those out to you.
So this is actually very similar to something that like Agora Games used to do with a lot of Activision games back in the day. Similar to like Guitar Hero. I remember a lot of the Guitar Hero tournaments I used to play in, they would pull the song results right from the game itself and update the website, and then the tournaments would be able to update automatically. Am I getting that correctly?
Yeah, similar.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, the key focus we have right now is obviously being able to run those tournaments automatically.
Right. And
being able to pull.
Do you have any idea can you announce what kind of games we could be expecting this kind of technology for?
Well, I will say if everybody tunes into NASL this weekend, and kind of keeps an eye out on our channels through Twitter and NASL and everything, you'll see some big news about that we have to launch for StarCraft. You'll also see, if you guys have follow Heroes of Newerth at all, you'll see that we are a big part of Han Tour and doing a lot with them. We do a lot with the EA Sports titles. Any of the EA Sports titles we deal with that are out there, we have full support for that. And you'll be able to see a lot more of that. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we're working on to some stuff with Gears. And working with some other developers as we talk to add more titles.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys are doing as far as with streaming, and let's go right into Gears of War, because you guys obviously were involved in the first Hype Festation, and then you're going to be involved in the second one. Talk a little bit about what your role was in the first, and are you going to have the exact same role for the second, or you guys have a slightly different role? Talk a little bit about your involvement.
So with Hype Festation, our first in the first role was we came on just as basically as supporting. We came on as a sponsor in the first one. Help them. Help when obviously we had the stream output on our channel, and we helped them with some of the prize pool and some of the operations with it. After seeing the great success that Hype Festation was, we decided to come on a little bit in a little bit more of a capacity. So now what we've stepped up to do is come on a little stronger with a lot of the production with Caesar and Barbosa and those guys. Big plan. What we're doing right now is the online qualifiers, which was added that wasn't there before. We've helped provide resources to double the size of the event from a 16-team event to a 32-team event, and that's a big part of what the online qualifiers is all about, is to add 12 invite slots onto there. That will be completely run and managed on Beyond Gaming's site, and that'll be streamed every week starting this weekend. The first tournament will start, and we'll be doing hopefully a lot more to help increase the production value that was there before, and by bringing on more resources and make it an even better event than it was last time.
That sounds really exciting. I mean, resources are critical, and obviously it is a young event. Let's talk a little bit about what other things you do as far as nightly stream, because I know you guys are also doing a Sunday night event, and you've got other things going on. So talk about your online the sort of live streaming that you guys do on your Twitch TV channel.
So a lot of what we do with the live streaming channel, sometimes we run, we have our promotional tournaments that we run. We've done a Bloodline Champions promotional tournament. We've done a few Heroes of New Earth things here and there. A big part of what we do with our live stream is our community nights, and that's a little bit of what you're referring to is the Sunday night shootouts and the Thursday throwdowns. Those are really fun nights to kind of get people into the idea of competition. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know or are a little bit afraid of kind of getting into competition. Because they're used to getting involved in a lot of these other sites that are out there and kind of getting preyed upon a little bit or just kind of outclassed or out of their league. So sometimes you can kind of be turned off. We try to get people involved with Beyond Gaming in a little bit more of a fun aspect, and that's kind of what Sunday Night Shootouts and Thursday Throwdowns has really been about. If you've ever looked at some of the things we do, they're actually not straight high-level type competition things. We tend to add a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a fun element to make it very fair and very even across the board with people.
Real quick, what time are those events? And are they? Is this something ongoing, or is it special, or what do you have like in the next month?
So they run every Thursday and every Sunday. They start at 8 p.m. Eastern. It is something that's ongoing. They've been going on for about 3 months now. Right now, we've got PMS Clan Sunday Night Shootout is doing League of Legends, and we're doing Dominion. Doing that in a little bit of a fun manner. We're not having actual teams sign up. We're having individuals sign up in more of a free-for-all fashion, and we're just kind of tossing people in as teams and running a little mini tournament. Then we're also doing Modern Warfare 3 with on Thursday Night Throwdowns, and that's just more of a free-for-all. The nice thing about Modern Warfare 3's free-for-alls, as opposed to the ones we did in the past, were they're a little bit bigger. And I always like that because the more people that you get into a free fall, the little bit more random it is. I think it's a lot of fun for a lot of people and really gives a lot of people a fair chance at really winning. And we give away a lot of prizing. If you've never attended one of our streams, you should check out one of our community night streams because it's pretty much Christmas every day on our streams.
Define a little bit what you mean by Christmas. A lot of people like Christmas, Eric.
A lot of people like
take advantage of that.
Well, the nice thing is we have a lot of great partners, a lot of great sponsors that kind of get involved and kind of believe in what Beyond Gaming is doing. So we give out. Not only can you win prizes from competing in the event, which is open for anybody to go sign up. All you have to have is a Beyond Gaming account. But just for watching the stream, you can come and watch the stream and you can win huge prizes. We've given away Gears of War 3 vaults. We've given away SSD drives just for people coming and watching. All sorts of crazy stuff. So you just show up and you have a chance. Any given moment, you have a chance to win something.
I want to know a little bit about the sort of future of Beyond Gaming as you guys continue to obviously expand your platforms. It sounds like you guys have kind of, pardon me, I coughed there. You have two things going on. One is the technology side, which obviously is partnering with Hassell, giving the support for StarCraft, Heroes of North. And the other is the actual website, Twitch TV, in a way supporting smaller things like Hypefestation and this. So talk a little bit about the overall strategy of how these two pieces fit together and how they sort of get managed.
So, I mean, the overall strategy for what we're really looking to do is to give everybody a home to for their competition, to be able to have a place to come and freely use software in a manner that you don't need to be very knowledgeable of. You don't need to know how to run a tournament bracket or a double elimination tournament or a Swiss style tournament to come to our site and actually set one of those up and run it. And not only that, but to be able to find players to play on the same level as you. You know, when you log into Xbox and you get into a multiplayer match, let's say in Halo, you never know kind of who you're going to get matched up against. You never know if you're on a Smurf account, so to speak. Somebody's on a Smurf account, so to speak. We kind of try to take that out. We have I forgot to mention we do have we have skill tracking systems involved, as well as player rating things involved. So you're able to kind of step into a community and step onto a website where you can say, I want to be competitive. I don't know if I want to be at the highest level of competition, but I want to be competitive. I want to find people who want to be competitive with me. And that's one of the big things that Beyond Gaming offers. We offer that ability to be competitive, to create your own competitions, to really get involved with people of your own skill level. And on top of that, to earn something while you do it. You know, there's no reason. We all spend hours and hours and hours playing video games, all of us. A lot of people will tell you, oh, that's a waste of time. And we as gamers know that's not. We take a pure enjoyment out of it. The way we look at it is, why can't you spend some time earning a new Xbox? Maybe you need a new video card for your computer. Maybe you want the newest SteelSeries headset and you can't necessarily afford it. Well, here's a way where you can go do what you do every day and do that same thing and earn it. With some of the other events and tournaments we're doing and getting involved, that's us supporting, competitive gaming on all levels. Whether you're a casual gamer, you're a pro gamer, you're just a hardcore, passionate gamer. We have something for everybody. So the different partnerships and the different things we get involved in is us showing our real flexibility.
Awesome. The parts where what you guys do to really bring that community in, like when you talk about your Thursday night throwdowns and your Sunday night shootouts, can you talk a little bit about what specific communities you're serving right now with each of those events? And I know you and I have talked about a Gears event, but I don't want to go into that. Do you have anything else planned outside of those two? So let's talk a little bit about those. What is, for the audience that may not know, what is a Sunday night shootout and what is a Thursday night throwdown?
So, I mean, those were just, to be honest, those were kind of brand names that we did that we thought would be fun. They're not any characterized in any particular event type. What we try to do is we try to look at communities that are maybe not, let's say, underserved communities. We try to look at communities and games that need a home or need somebody to just show them a little bit of support. You're not watching them every week on the GSLs or the MLGs or stuff like that, and they have this huge, massive supportive community about it. We try to get involved with. That's really what the core focus of a lot of those events are, and it's to make them aware. Make some of those groups aware that, hey, there's a different place that you can come and play. That's really what the key focuses to those are. If I pop a game up there like Modern Warfare 3, where maybe I don't have full support of the game, but I want to be able to support the community in some fashion and show them there's a place that they can come, that's why we do some of those events, to make them aware that, hey, check this place out. Here's something different than what you may not have already.
All right, Aaron. I just realized, too, that I want to shift subjects, if you don't mind, just because I'm being mindful of the clock. And we were talking about this earlier, and maybe even hinted at a little bit when we were discussing about CounterStrike. But You've had a long history in this space. I know you from back in the when you worked with WCG. Talk a little bit about your history, both as a gamer and someone who's been able to sort of transition into actually working in the gaming industry. Obviously, in this capacity, you've just moved to Toledo, Ohio, where Beyond Gaming is located. Talk a little bit about your own work in play, so to speak.
So for me, I've played games for as long as I can remember, and I know that's the answer that most people get, but for really it is for me. I've played games for as long as I can remember. I think I always tend to put a little bit more of an emotional story behind me being a gamer. When I was about 11 years old and I first met my stepfather, gaming is what actually helped us connect. From the first day I met him, we played Duck Hunt on the Nintendo. And yes, I said Nintendo, guys, and I said Duck Hunt because I'm old. That was the first game we played together. And then playing games became like a kind of a weekly ritual for us that we did. Every week we sat down and, started off with Doom. And maybe this is why I'm such a big PC fanboy, because playing those type of games hits a very emotional level for me. We sat down playing, Doom. I remember when it came out as freeware, I had the little 3x5 floppy disks for Doom when that came out, or Wolfenstein 3D when that came out. I remember when it was called Shareware, and that was the name of the company. And you get it in a little package in the mail. And, it eventually grew into playing Quake. And Quake was the game that got me into competitive gaming, the original Quake 1. And as I got older, I kind of fell away from it for a little while. And Battlefield 1942 was actually what brought me back really into the gaming sphere. And I fell in love with Battlefield, started playing that a lot, and that's where I met Captain Barbosa, good friend of mine, a little over 7 years ago, and we started our own little news site called NoobTube TV, and everything kind of fell from there. We started getting more and more involved in the community, and ended up an opportunity opened up at WCG that I had good qualifications for, and it all kind of just transitioned into there. And now I came to Beyond Gaming, and I honestly get to say I do what I love. I spent a lot of times doing different jobs, and gaming and that thing was always, a passion and a hobby of mine. And it wasn't until I got into the industry that I could say, hey, I found a career. I did a lot of interesting jobs, but none of them I could actually say I found a career until I got into this industry.
That's awesome. If there were people out there who say, I would like to be in your shoes, or I would like to do something in the gaming industry, what advice would you have for them as far as whether it's their work ethic or how they network, or what advice would you have for those out there who may want to work in a job similar to your own?
I would say you have to work really hard. It's not as easy as it may seem, and it's not as fun as it may seem. You have to be, I say at one level, you have to be willing to give up the gamer side of you. If I get to play, just to be honest with everybody, if I get to play a half an hour worth of games a week, I'm lucky. That's a good week that I actually get to sit down and do that. It takes a lot of hard work, and it's about turning that passion that you have for the industry and turning that love into wanting to grow what's going on. And if you can do that, and you can transition that and sacrifice some of those things that you do for yourself, as i.e. playing those games for hours on day, and transition that passion into doing those things for others and making sure you're networking with people. That's another thing, making sure you're getting out there, know what's going on, know who you're talking to, understand the business of the industry. There's two different sides of this industry. There's the community side and there's the industry side. If you really want to work in gaming, you need to really understand the industry and the business side and learn how to separate those two, because that's where there's a lot of conflict, is when that friend and community side start to conflict with that business side. Because in the end, it is a business. So you have to go into it realizing, hey, it's a business, and there's going to be things that maybe don't make sense or you don't think is fair to the community. But when it comes down to the bottom dollar or doing your job, those are the decisions that have to be made.
How do you think you learned about the business side?
I think I learned about the business side just because I've been involved in terms of like for my job, sales and marketing. I've done sales and marketing for so long, and as a sales and marketing person, you tend to learn that while you put on the personable nice guy face, in the end you're always kind of worried about your commission check. So I think I was just naturally able to learn what those two differences are. But you got to I think it's understanding that sometimes business is cold and unfair.
Or you could look at it that business is somebody being able to support their family, and that's not cold and unfair. People need to pay their bills.
True.
You have a family to support, and you are passionate about gaming. That's what fuels what you're doing. But at the same time, you need to close those deals, and money needs to transact, and you need to be able to get a paycheck. So I don't know. I guess there are some people, you're right, who might look at that as cold, but people need to eat, and children need a roof over their head, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah, they forget to look beyond that. What's the bigger picture?
Yep.
It's not about that small section that you see. There's a much bigger picture to everything, and I think if you can, in anything that you do, if you can look at the larger picture, if you can take any personal feelings or any personal side of yourself out and look at the larger picture of things, you'll find it that much easier to operate in the space.
So, Aaron, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and get advice for you, you're pretty active on Twitter. I want to give you a chance to do your shout-outs, and we'll sort of wrap up the Beyond Gaming, and then maybe we'll open it up for a broader conversation, which you're welcome to stick around for, or if you need to go, I understand. But how do people learn about what's going on Beyond Gaming? How do we follow you if we want to get advice? And talk a little bit about your partners.
Sure, I'd like to follow Beyond Gaming, at Beyond Gaming. If you guys want to find out what we're doing, follow at Beyond Gaming. Check out facebook.com/Beyond Gaming. We're always very active. If you have questions for us, we're always really, really responsive on there. Visit the site. Go to beyondgaming.com. I guarantee you, the moment you start up an account, you'll have Mr. Beyond Gaming contacting you saying, "Hey, welcome to the site." You'll have Beyond Bader contacting saying, "Hey, welcome to the site." We're very, very active in that sense in doing with the community. So be sure to follow at Beyond Gaming. Follow at facebook.com/Beyond Gaming. If you want to follow me, you can at BG_Aaron. But I much more prefer if you follow Beyond Gaming, because you'll see me tweeting at it every now and then. So,
in other words, you'll see the whatever goes to at Beyond Gaming anyway.
Exactly. You'll see me retweet it if you just check the retweets.
No
every
problem.
Every time it comes
the power
out.
of Hootsuite or something similar. Let's and any partners? Talk a little bit about your partners. Do you give them any shout outs?
I just want to thank everybody really so far. I want to thank you guys, VVV Gaming, for supporting us and the things that we're going to do together, and PMS Clan and Team EG and pretty much everybody that we work with, Steel Series and Astro Gaming and TTE Sports, and a lot of the different groups that have stepped up and have really worked with us over the time, and everybody that is really getting involved with being a part of Beyond Gaming and the things that we're doing.
Awesome, everyone. There you have it. Aaron Hassell from Beyond Gaming. Visit the website, find out what they're doing. If you find yourself without a team, if you find yourself wondering what's going on a Sunday or a Thursday night, definitely check out Beyond Gaming's website, which is, what is it again, Aaron?
BeyondGaming.com.
See how easy that is? No excuse.
Oh,
BeyondGaming.com.
And just to let you know, the store where you can trade tokens and stuff like that in, we're going to be having a big sale coming up next month. So you really want to pay attention to our site.
There you go. Christmas will be happening on the Beyond Gaming site. Sign up, take a look at what's going on. Again, like Aaron said, they like to give things away. If you're going to be playing, why not play and get some stuff? And I want to wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Kurt, Kevin, Christian, Jason, let's start to wind down. But before we got into Beyond Gaming, and again, Aaron, you're welcome to stick around, we had a little bit of a conversation on Twitter today about what the sort of the idea of casters, and here's what I saw develop. I'm just going to give you my perspective, and then Kurt and other people can jump in. There was the one, there's obviously been a lot of focus on the quality of casters. And I think some players, some StarCraft players, on Twitter were saying, it seems a little bit unfair that there's so much focus on casters when it's the players that are bringing in the fans. And then there was this debate as to who should be casters and whether or not you could be a caster and a player. And I think there's a lot of nuance to this discussion. I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And I'll start with my position on this. And then I'll throw it around to Kurt and Aaron and anybody else. I'll probably get all your positions on what you think about this. And I want to make sure that the reason I'm going to go first is I want to talk about them separated so I don't get confused. My position on the caster versus the player conversation is really, to me, just a simple law of supply and demand. There are more players wanting to play and win at the top level than there are casters with that skill wanting to cast. Therefore, the praise goes to the narrow few casters because we are very appreciative of what they do. I believe once we have sufficient casters so that it's automated, those casters will be as invisible as whoever does Monday Night Football. I mean, I know who does Monday Night Football, but you know what I'm saying. So whoever may be casting your favorite sport that you may not pay attention to that much. But right now, I think the law of supply and demand is in effect. That's how I feel on that caster versus player dynamic. On the other part of it, Slasher's tweet was, it's always better if casters can cast and players can play. I would agree if there were enough casters, and there are not. And I want to make a very important distinction about the difference between being a caster and saying you're a caster. It's like being an actual professional gamer and saying you're a pro gamer. There are plenty of people who say they can cast, and there are many people who play they're pro gamers. But DJ Wheat is a professional caster. Huck is a professional StarCraft player. Those people are being paid, and they have the clear skill to be at the professional level. I think where Slasher got himself in trouble was with, one, it was on Twitter, and 140 characters are limiting, and two, I think that players that are not at Huck's level and are interested in casting should be given the ability to give it a shot. I don't need the player who places 22nd. Whether he shows up 18 or 24, I don't think is a big difference. And if we've got an emerging caster in that person, we should give that player that opportunity. That's my position. I believe that players make excellent casters. Now, a lot of people say something that I think is narrow, and I want to address this also in this casting debate. I don't think if you watch a lot of games, you have the same level of knowledge than a person who plays the games. If you watch a lot of games, you probably have a lot of implicit knowledge about the game being played. You can also know a lot of stats. But playing the game, you get a lot of tacit knowledge about the players. This is one of those things I'm not going to get into. Google tacit knowledge, implicit knowledge. Look it up. I'm sure some of you will figure it out. But very rarely do you run into a caster unless they really, really have deep experience with the players in the league and been doing it for a while to have a lot of tacit knowledge about the players. And that's why it's so important, I think, for players to emerge into casters, especially in this stage of where esports is. So that's my position on the casters versus players, both as far as where they sit on this issue of which one should get more credit and which one should be there. So who wants to go next? Aaron, I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I'll interject something in that. I don't think it really matters. I think what really matters is whoever's casting has the skill to be a caster. I mean, look at some of the professional sports. I mean, you don't have. I think some of the worst casters in professional football are the ex-pros, who are the guys up there. I think that casting is something in its own level. Now, yes, DJ Wheat used to play StarCraft, used to play Quake. He's casted a number of different games. He hasn't been a pro in a lot of the games he's casted. What he is an awesome caster. He has the personality. He knows how to talk. And he knows enough of the game to make it interesting and make it easy for the person that's watching to understand. That's where there's a translation. And, that's where, I think Slasher talking about the player should be retired and blah, blah, blah. I think it really just comes down to, is the person good enough to be a caster? It doesn't matter if they were ever a player. Do they know the game well enough to cast? Do they understand the dynamics enough? I could sit here and I could learn the game without ever playing the game. And I can watch other people play it, and I can learn who the good players are and learn all the tactics and everything with the availability of information. And I bet you I could walk out and be a damn good caster if I've got the skills as a caster. I think, being able to talk and entertain and do those things it's a huge skill set to have. I've seen people like Rivington III, who everybody's like, oh, wow, he's a League of Legends caster. That's how people know Rivington III. Well, I know Rivington III as a caster from WCG back in the days when he was sitting there shoutcasting in front of 50 people on random games that he probably never even played before. But he was phenomenal as a caster.
Oh, the Tekken cast. Please don't bring up the Tekken cast ever again.
But I'm just saying stuff like but stuff like that where he would be at the Samsung Experience walking behind people and casting games, and we would just say, hey, you're shoutcasting this game, and he would do it. He would learn about it enough, but he was that entertaining and that good of a caster that he was able to do that. And that's one of the reasons he got the job with League of Legends, because they knew he was going to come on to be a caster, and he learned that game. He didn't go in as a League of Legends caster. He had the experience as a caster, and because they hired him, they turned him into a very large name in League of Legends and in casting.
All right, I'm going to bring Asylum in next, and then we're going to go to Kurt, and then I'll let Kevin and Jason hop in. So, Asylum, you're up next.
You make a lot of good points there, Aaron, about where you don't necessarily have to be a player to come in and be able to be a good caster for a game. I completely agree with that. But I do know where, at least where I'm coming from, because I do cast League of Legends, not on a professional level by any means, but I do some casting for VBV on our 1v1 tournaments and all that stuff. And my knowledge of the game from playing it for the last few years has actually helped me become a better caster. I'm not saying I'm like this awesome caster or anything, because I'm not, but I do believe that knowing a game and actually playing a game for a lengthy amount of time will actually help you become a better caster. I know DJ Wheat didn't have a whole lot of experience in the StarCraft universe before he went into casting, and look at him. He is phenomenal at commentating StarCraft, so much that he goes all around the world to do it, and he is amazing. He every time somebody like DJ Wheat or Day 9, every time a good caster comes up, no matter what game is going on, I'm instantly pulled in. Let's talk about even briefly for a moment Caesar from Hypestation, CDM III. I had no idea what Gears of War 3 was. Well, I knew what it was, but I've never actually seen it played before Hypestation. I turned on that stream, and Caesar was casting. Now I was just like, oh my god. I couldn't keep my eyes off of the screen. I couldn't keep my headphones off of my head, because he was such a great commentator. Because not only does he have that ability to entertain with his words and his allure that is Caesar, but he knows the game really well because he plays it a lot. And that is what I think is part of what makes an amazing, amazing caster. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to say it again. Caesar, if you're listening, quit playing, commentate full-time, because you are an amazing caster. And I think just about everybody on the show agrees.
Or at least I would say that, don't hesitate when you've got breaks to come back behind the mic. I mean, again, I think we're going to need to have people like Caesar not feel it's a black and white choice, that they can play and give that 100%. But if they've got extra time, get behind the mic and remind everyone that one day you may not be playing and you will cast or something like that.
Oh, for sure. Most definitely. I play League of Legends a lot, and then when I'm not playing, I'm casting. And I love casting. I almost enjoy casting it more than I enjoy playing it, to be completely honest with you.
And that happens I think that happens to a lot of people as they play more. And I'm going to bring Kurt in next. What do you think, Kurt?
To be honest, I wish I was more interested in this topic than I actually am. Like, I feel like it's almost it's been talked about multiple different times, and each time no one really gets anything across. Like, no one really tends to get either point across, and I don't think either points necessarily matter. But I suppose, to talk about it a little bit, I mean, number one, it wasn't really brought up on Twitter immediately. It was brought up on his show the day earlier. He, of course, got complete shit for it on Reddit, and then proceeded to talk about it again on Twitter today. I mean, the thing with me is I would say you don't necessarily have to be a popular player to be a good caster. I would like to say that, number one. I mean, you look at, like, yes, I think Day9, who has been a top player in Artosis and Tasteless, that they've been top players, are some of the best casters in the community. But you've also got Husky, you've got Total Biscuit, you've got DJ Wheat, who haven't made it out of Diamond, or some of them even Gold. So I don't necessarily think you have to be one or the other. But I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to be the best player in order to be the better caster. But yeah, I mean, I would kind of argue a little bit of both points. I mean, if you actually look at what Slasher talked about on Twitter the most, if you look at actually what him and Huck were arguing, the whole argument was about the fact that, according to Huck, casters get treated better than players. Casters right now are getting paid more, they're getting treated better, and et cetera, et cetera. I think one of the reasons is because is also what Huck brought up, is that they know that they have something of value, and they tend to be a little bit more business smart than players. So I wish I was a little bit more interested in this topic, but I just don't see it being that big of a deal either way. I think as long as I tend to agree with Aaron, I think as long as any caster, no matter who it is, has a certain level of commitment and a certain level of analytical strategy, I guess, can be a caster. I just don't think, I will agree with Slasher on one point. I don't think you can do both at the same time. Not well, at least. I just don't.
Let me give my opinion on what you were just saying there, though, when you talked about how the casters get treated better than the players. This is where we go back into talking a little bit about that business side of things. The caster is a public face for that stream. Okay, when you're doing an event or doing a stream, there's you could go through 50 or 100 matches in the period of a weekend, and so that's figure. Let's look at StarCraft, for instance. If that's 1v1, that's 100 different people that are going through there. That's 100 different people that fans in the stream would have to know or be familiar with to, the level's just not that big. There's not enough churn rate in terms of professional players or high-level players. You do have some that stay up there and the names stay out in the public eye, but casters get a lot of recognition because they're consistent, they're solid. Every major event employs the exact same casters. They're the face of what's going on in the community. They're the ones that everybody becomes familiar with. And it becomes to a point where to have a successful stream, yeah, you need players, but the players sometimes are not quite as important as the people that they tune in to watch specific casters cast matches. Listen, DJ Wheat could cast me versus Jerry in StarCraft 2, and I guarantee you he'll get 5,000 people watching that stream. And we're probably the two of the most god-awful people in the world at playing SC2. So there's a little bit of a difference there from a business perspective of somebody who would hire somebody to do a stream is I want the best casters. Because, yes, the players are great, and people want to watch some of the great matches, but the people that are the ones that are keeping those people polarized for 10 hours at a time are those casters to that stream.
Yeah, and I mean, people might hate me for this, but I would argue that some casters work hard, just as hard, if not harder, than the players. I mean, some of the stuff that Day9 does, and for that matter, DJ Wheat, is just ridiculous in their daily sort of lives. I mean, the fact that, Day9 has his dailies that he does every fucking day, on top of traveling to a ridiculous amount of events and doing online events and the coverage that he does. Like, I mean, to me, he would work just as hard, if not harder, than all the players. So to say that he gets, and not to mention like all the casters who I think Huck is mainly talking about, which are some of the maybe the YouTube casters like Husky, HD, and like Total Biscuit, they work their fucking asses off. Like I'm sorry, like they might not necessarily be doing tournaments all the time, or might not necessarily be doing the best analytical shoutcasting in the world, but they work their asses off getting out tons of videos per week, for great content for YouTube people. So, and to me, they're bringing in a whole other crowd that, it's a lot like Call of Duty in that sense. Call of Duty has this whole other crowd, and I think that the YouTube crowd for StarCraft is like that as well. You can see that in the sense that on like someone like Husky, the YouTube people absolutely love Husky. Like they talk about him all the time, and they're going Husky, Husky, Husky. But you go to Team Liquid, and Husky gets shit on because he's like they say he's not that good of a player. He's not out of diamond, and he's analytical shoutcasting sucks, and blah blah blah. It's such a polarizing community in that aspect, and to me, I mean, they work just as hard, if not harder, than all the players. So they should get some recognition, and they should damn sure get some money. So.
All right, I'm jumping in on here. To me, and yes, both Kurt and Aaron, you have made awesome points on this subject. Casters should be getting recognition because they are the face. And with that many games that are being played, let's say in a weekend of a tournament, yeah, we don't have, let's say, 12, 13 games going on at a time, like let's say an NFL or something like that, where we have casters for every game. Hopefully we get to that point. Right now we do need big name casters to come in and do these matches and be that polarizing figure that people are going to love or hate, and to get that message out of the game and how it's being played, tell the story. To me, right now, casters, they have these two skill sets they really need. And if this was an RPG, they've got to boost up their stats in these two areas, right? They've got their personality and they also have their knowledge, right? And you can't be a good caster without both, in my opinion, right? You can have the knowledge of the game, but if you're a piece of wood on the ground, if you are a stick with no personality, nobody's going to enjoy listening to you. But at the same time, if you're all personality with no knowledge of the game and you just end up talking yourself into a corner, well, at the same time, that's not going to do very good either for the cast. So to me, yeah, I can see where players would be very good casters. If we can get those players with good personalities after they are done with their career to use that tacit knowledge, like Jerry was talking about earlier, that would be such a benefit to esports in the long run. To me, that's what it's got to be. I mean, we've got to grow these players and help their marketability and things of that nature so that after they are done, and maybe they aren't reaching that level that they want to reach anymore, that we can groom these folks to have them transition right into that next step. Should they be doing it at the same time? Okay, yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. They could be, as I was saying earlier, relating it to RPG stats, yeah, they can boost up their casting capabilities when they're not playing. If they're not going to be playing in a tournament, if they've been eliminated, maybe giving some opinion analysis, I could see where that would be a good thing to have. Hey, I just played this guy. This is a strategy he used against me. That's a knowledge that a caster who has not been playing in the game would never be able to talk about. If they haven't had that experience in-game versus a player, that's analysis that we need. Those statistics, those basic points of a game, of how a player plays. If you have experience playing against someone, you know them that much better. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. I mean, I think no one, in my opinion, should dispute the fact that pro players make better casters. I think the only opinion to be disputed is, can we actually thrive on that? I mean, can we wait 4 or 5 years for a pro player to retire in order to start casting? And I think that was Slasher's point. Or one of his points. I mean, he like Jerry said, he did change a little bit. So, I think, but just what I honestly think what people are missing here, though, is what Huck said. To me, what Huck said is even a little bit more controversial than what Slasher said. The fact that Huck came out and said, that point is, his exact quote, point is that right now most casters are overpaid, overpraised, and better treated than players, even though some are subpar, to be honest. To me, I just don't agree with that. Like, I don't know if very many, if any, casters are overpaid, overpraised, and subpar for that. I really don't quite understand the comment there. Not for the amount of work they fucking put in. Like, I'm sorry. I couldn't do half the work that someone like HD does to get up all those YouTube videos and to cast all those videos or do the dailies like Day 9 does or anything like that. I just couldn't. And I can't imagine anyone else do it. And to say that most casters are like that, come on. I mean, I think that's a little stubborn, I guess is the word. I don't know if anyone saw that or not. Maybe I'm the only one that saw that, but he did.
You know what I want to hear? I want to hear Kevin's opinion, because we brought him on when Kurt magically disappeared at the beginning of the show, and we had him here as one of our co-hosts for this episode. We have barely heard from him at all. So, Kevin, why don't you come on out of the shadows here and share your opinion with us, man? What do you think on this subject?
Okay, Jason, I kind of agree with you on this topic, and my stance is the same throughout video games, professional sports, and college sports in terms of casters and players. If you had played the game previously and you competed in it, you can use your experiences to add to your commentary, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary to have previous experience in the game to be able to commentate. I mean, if you have that knowledge and you know exactly what's going on just from, watching matches or watching gameplay, and you can provide commentary that is informative, and you can tell the viewer what is going on, I don't think you need previous experience in the game to be able to do that. But I do believe that players should wait until their playing careers are over until they begin casting. Because, in professional sports, you don't see LeBron James, taking time between his games to commentate other NBA games. That just wouldn't make any sense. So I think you need to wait until you could focus on commentary.
Part of me also says that I think what skews this whole conversation is that I don't like this either or. When I look at any professional sports cast, whether it's tennis, golf, football, you don't have a single person casting. You have a team, and you generally have a really strong casting personality, and then you generally have one really strong member of the media who's a great analyst, and then you always have someone who played the game. Right? That seems to be like the core three people that your professional cast usually make up, right? You have the caster, I think of DJ Wheat in this case. You have somebody who knows a lot about statistics. Depending on who we're talking about, could be a sort of a Day 9 type character who's got a long history with the game, or maybe Artosis or Tasteless. And then you have somebody who's actually played the game at that competitive level. If you brought in a Huck, or you brought in a Idra or In Control to talk about the game, that's not a bad thing. I don't think you're destroying their game or that they're not as credible. Let me make it clear that I don't believe Idra would even make that cut for me, but I'm just using an example of a North American skilled player people be familiar with. So I just think that that kind of triangle leaves for a lot of room for people to come on board. I don't like the either or idea, though. You have to be a caster, you have to be a player. You can play and cast. I just don't think you can be a top player and a top caster. That's where I think the difference comes in. But if we're going to use that RPG analogy we had earlier, while you're leveling up your skills, you can level up more than one skill. Just understand that you're never, the time that you spend investing in one thing is time you're not spending investing in another. But many human beings are able to do more than one thing, right? Not to be a shithead about it, but I can take a biology class and get an A in biology, and I can fucking take a business or math class and get an A in that. And nobody in the school goes, you know what, Jerry, if you take math, it's going to take away from your ability to do biology. So no offense to the casters, no offense to the players, but it's not fucking rocket science. Right? I was perfectly capable in the U.S. Navy to take fucking reactor kinetics and at the same time learn things about the U.S. Navy's history. Right? It wasn't this or that. I think we should just get away from that conversation. And to your point, Kurt, I don't know if I necessarily feel that Huck's position is wrong. There are some casters who I think, to be fair, don't quite deliver. But I also think Huck might be a little naive to the point that they are a scarcity and they're needed. And I do think in Huck's defense, he mentioned that there is players, and he mentioned TLO in particular, who would make an excellent caster and should maybe in between his matches or when he's done playing, jump into that booth and gain more of that credibility and expertise. So I just don't think it's an either or. And I think at the stage we're at, no offense again, but when somebody says, oh, we should get a caster. From the fuck where? I mean, half the casters we have aren't professional casters. They're nerds who can't fucking play well and want to feel like they're part of esports, right? The fucking ground is littered with them. And most of them are not good. I mean, I don't think a lot of them are overpaid. I don't think a lot of them are paid, right? But I just think that if we're going to look at this as a sort of equation where the best percentage of us getting success is if we have an environment that makes it easy for a player to jump in that booth and get in front of a camera and get that kind of exposure. I think we should encourage that. That's what I'm saying. Did I just get the final word?
I think you know what? I feel really good because you kind of backed up my point a little bit there, and you got actually across some of the things I was trying to say with better wording. So thank you for that, Jerry. I do appreciate it.
No problem. Well, you know what? I'm looking at the time. We're coming up near the end of the show. Mm-hmm. We're going to do a little after show all the time. We're going to be in the VV Gaming Mumble channel. Mm-hmm. So anybody who's got comments for us, you're welcome to hop on Mumble and join us for a sort of after show discussion. But Jason, I'm going to let you wrap up the show.
Sure thing. Thank you all so much yet again for joining us. A big shout out to Aaron as well from Beyond Gaming. Aaron, did you have anything you wanted to say before you took off, sir?
No, thank everybody for coming. And big shout out to Forecourt Jester. Check that dude out.
He's awesome.
Forecourt Jester. Sorry, he asked me. He asked me to do it. He asked me to give him a shout out.
Hey, Sean, you could have asked me to give you a shout out, but no, whatever. Okay, I see how it is.
Additionally, on top of Aaron, we also do want to thank everyone from VVV LifeLine that came on the show. You guys are awesome. This cunts right here loves you. Thank you so much. Additionally, big thank you to the VV Gaming sponsors, SteelSeries, Gamer Grub, Control Freak. A huge thank you to Power Glove for supplying the music that we use at the beginning and after our show. Big thank you to everyone that tuned in tonight to listen. Thank you to the competitive gaming community. Your feedback and support is what keeps us going. If you would like to give us some more feedback, you can email us over at thelosersbracket@vv-gaming.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. The account is simply Losers Bracket. Tweet us any feedback that you've got. You can find all our podcasts at the homepage. It's vvgaming.podbean.com. All right, so we've got 2 episodes left this year because we will be taking a little break for the holidays. So we're hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be getting Sundance back on the show before those 2 episodes are done. I know he keeps saying it episode after episode, but he did just tweet to me yesterday that he's looking at next week, hopefully, to get on. So we're looking at that. So fingers crossed we'll be getting him back on. Let's give some final shout-outs. Christian, what you got for me?
Well, I was going to shout out Forecourt Jester, but apparently that was just completely thrown out the freaking window. Thank you, Sean. I love you. You actually do a good job on your on all your casting, so I am gonna give a good shout out to you. Bravo, Sean. Hopefully your career for casting in MOBAs goes well. Give a shout out to our normal people, the great people that listen in every week and make our chat so enjoyable. Mr. Biscuit, Arcane, Glory D, and now Galaxy. I think it's the second or third week coming in and making a mix of things in here, so a big shout out to them. Glory, I love you. Even though you troll me in chat, I still love you. I love your little Louisiana accent and mumble every night. It's just so amazing. Thank you, Kevin, actually, also for coming onto the show tonight. Even though you were kind of overshadowed by everybody, I still love you. You're still my favorite console manager.
Oh, get a room. No,
hey,
Kevin.
Come on.
Kevin, thank you again for joining us. Christian's completely right. While we got you here, why don't you give us some shout-outs as well? Anybody that you wanted to say hey to before we ended the show tonight?
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me. Of course, I want to give shout-outs to VV Gaming and everybody in the community. I want to give a big shout-out to Arcane. I think he's my biggest fan in chat right now. And I also want to give a huge shout-out to one of my very best friends, Dave Bullock. He actually he exemplifies what a casual gamer turned competitive gaming fan is, and he's my motivation in everything that I do. So I want to give a big thank you to him, and that's all.
Cool. I heard that Aaron here said that he had one last thing to say, so please go ahead, take the mic, sir.
One last thing today is to say, check out hypefestation.com. Check out the online qualifiers. I forgot to say this earlier, but each of the online qualifiers has a cash prize on it, and that's above and beyond the 12K that's being offered for the Hype Festation prize. So get your teams on the qualifiers, get that spot. Go, go, go.
Nice.
That's all I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you for the heads up, Aaron. We do appreciate it. We got 2 more people left in line here. Kurt, the mic is yours. Give some shout outs, buddy.
Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. All right, so we know what I'm going to shout out, right? Quick, guess. What's tomorrow, everyone? What is
CounterStrike.
tomorrow?
God damn it.
It's CounterStrike, Go! I'm gonna shit on my butt, I'm gonna eat my Doritos, and I'm gonna play Go until my heart stops.
What the fuck just happened?
I wish I was around when like Dominion came out, so I could hear someone be like, "Oh, don't forget Dominion comes out tomorrow." Anyway.
Oh, I nerded out over Dominion, I'm not gonna lie.
You two just had this kind of conversation. You're a retard. Oh, yeah, well, you're a retard, too. Just like I'm a retard. Yeah, well, I am a retard, actually. Yeah, well, I'm a retard, too. Well, that was a great conversation. Thank you. So please continue.
No, in all
No offense to those who may or may not have anybody in their household or loved ones that are mentally challenged. Disclaimer. And disclaimer.
And I'm sure you said that in a very kind and loving way. I'm sure that's how you meant it.
I love when Jerry does disclaimers after what he says. It's so great, so political. But no, so yeah, for anybody that does have a key, it is tomorrow. It's supposed to launch. I'm hoping that it'll preload at midnight tonight, but I highly, highly doubt it. So, but either way, I'll be up tomorrow playing it first thing. Hopefully it's decent. If you guys want to talk to me on Twitter about it, my Twitter is at ENEKeyhunt. I'll be tweeting about it all day. Just general, feelings and gripes and all the general stuff. So you can also follow my organization, or the organization I work with, at Check 6 Gaming. It's Check number 6 Gaming. And the regular shout outs. Thanks to everybody in chat. Thanks to all the people over at Check 6 help me out every day.
Oh, wow.
All right, Jerry, on to you, buddy.
You know what? Hold on. Before Jerry, I suppose that means we're going to actually have you talking on the show next week about how you feel Go is as a game, aren't you?
I'm going to be sick next week.
Oh, God damn it.
You're sick every week. What are you talking about?
Jerry, go ahead. Take the mic, man.
I don't even know what to say. I do have these shout-outs. One, very odd shout-out to BioWare. If you do not, and I want you to, whoever listens to this, get Star Wars The Old Republic. If you even have a shred of you that likes an MMO, it is worth experiencing what BioWare has done in its ability to tell a story. I think when the reviews come out, it cannot be understated both the massive amount of content and the sheer quality of the writing. I love Dragon Age Origins. I love Mass Effect. Good games. Could they do an MMO? And more importantly, could they do an MMO under the watchful eye of EA? And to be honest, I thought EA really flubbed Battlefield 3. I thought EA has always been a Walmart of gaming to me. And EA certainly didn't have a great run when they took over Warhammer Online. But Star Wars The Old Republic, whatever BioWare did to get that kind of freedom, and I'm guessing make the game they want. I disagree with CEO of Activision, who said, I think the only person who wins in this is Lucasfilms. I think the gamers actually win. Get Star Wars if you're an MMO fan. Other shout-outs. I'm going to echo what everybody else here said. A Crossfire team. I want to give a shout-out to our staff. From Providence to this whole week has been just a phenomenal ride. I thought we had a great time at Providence. We just had a lot of fun. We're able to close the application process. We'll reopen it January 19th, giving staff a much-needed break. And a shout-out to all of you for being on the show every week. So thank you, guys.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the 94th round of VVV Gaming's Losers Bracket. We've got 2 shows left this year. We really do hope that you tune in next week, Tuesday night, yet again, same time, same place, twitch.tv/live VVV Gaming, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the 95th round of our show. We have some exciting segments planned, Kurt. Thanks for that. And until then, everyone, take care. We will see you soon. Enjoy your gaming. I'm sure a bunch of you are still taking care of your characters in Skyrim and things of that nature. But have a great week. We will see you soon. Take care.